YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this, all new from FMS. Yeah, we picked good weather. This is actually the best weather we've had for a while. You can get this in red and white. It's a Beaver. Everybody loves a tight little Beaver. This one's 800 millimeters instead of 2,000. You can get a 2,000. Yes, you got the customary 1-minute beep on this transmitter, and it does have GPS lock. And by the way, our GPS lock happened inside because we did plug in the included 850 milliamp 2S battery, 25C, Predator pack. This is your panic button. It's also your return to home. I have it in not stabilized, that's stabilized. And then this is auto leveling with GPS. Don't listen to what the manual says, it's confusing. They call this something else, I don't really care.
Optimized.
This is GPS, return to home, all that crap.
Okay,
so elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right, throttle cuts off. There is no throttle cut, here we go. Plenty of power. So far so good, camera crew.
Yeah.
Very good, so it's auto leveling very nicely. It's very precise. It doesn't like leave anything to chance on the bank. I'm out of throttle. Okay, giving it just a little bit. Yep, it likes to kind of hold that weird position of flight in the auto leveling. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into stabilized mode. So you're stabilized. So this is gonna be like AS3X kind of a, setup. Okay, so upside down flight, tons of power, guys. We're doing okay. Upside down flight in windy, crappy, snowy conditions, no problem. Coming out of that, we'll bring it over here for a little bit closer pass. A little bit touchy on the controls. Would like a little bit more expo built in. Of course, you can get this as a plug and fly, but the stabilizer's keeping up pretty good given the fact that we have a nice little cross breeze going. Okay. Yes, you can do aerobatics. It's a little bit clunky, as you can see, but that is somewhat the nature of these ready to flies. It has a multi-purpose brick in it. Let's see if I can land this thing quick. Oh, that was a tough landing, guys. So one thing about flying in snow-banked roads is that sometimes you break a prop. Son of a biscuit lover. And if that happens, this is not a pop-off prop. So what's gonna happen is it won't fly with one prop blade. So that being said, this plane is gonna get a new prop right now and we'll come right back. All right, so we switched the prop. We're gonna take off right now. We didn't change the battery, so we might have lost just a little bit. Okay, here we go. Whoa! I wanted to avoid breaking the prop. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Did we break the prop?
Yeah.
We broke the prop, guys. There's always something, always something. So, as you can see, when you try to fly in a blizzard, screw it, whatever, we're gonna fly. Okay, so we are in the stabilized mode. The plane flies okay. Camera crew is gonna move back so I can actually fly by a few times. Perfect. So if I wanted to make that thing fly pretty good, I could just take the scissors and trim the prop. The gusty wind definitely doesn't make things easier. I wanna try to hit the GPS geofence. Okay, it doesn't matter what mode you're in. If it's supposedly it's, good Lord, how big is it?
120 meters.
Gosh, I don't know if I trust that I can see it from that far today. Because that's some pretty thick snow, folks. See the light on the nose?
That's kind of nice.
Well, it helps, but at the same time, it's kind of like the bottom is so easy to see on this. If we would have flown the white one, there's no way you'd be able to see it right now. So guys, I'm real sorry. I broke that prop. The second one, that's annoying. It's disappointing, but I don't feel like it's flying half bad. It's actually a really good looking plane. Sounds a little bit like a gasser right now. Obviously there are no flaps, there's no flaperons, but you can split the Y cable. It comes with the Y cable going out to each of the super, super small servos. And so there are servos out at the end of the wing. It's not like you have a connection mechanically between them. Okay, camera crew is gonna go back to her normal spot on one side or the other. Very good. There it is, guys. We got a heavy crosswind. If you can't tell, the crosswind does have an impact, but with the extra resistance from the snow, it does make that thing look sweet. Oh man, that is so gorgeous.
Has a lot of snow too.
Yeah, this snow, guys, it started while we were doing our unbox build radio setup. Ooh, almost bit it there. 2S, 850 milliamp hour. And then I want to see what happens. I'm going to just press the return to home, which is the panic button over here. Okay, at auto levels, it's going to climb to a certain height, and it's just going to go and loiter, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know if I trust it.
Is it?
There it goes. Okay, so once you take over, then it just comes out of the mode you're in. So now I'm controlling it, doing barrel rolls intentionally. Okay, very good. Very nice. So I want to see what return to home looks like, but I'm just like scared to try it. So I press the button. It's obviously climbing. I'm going to go ahead and just give it more throttle and see if I can get it to do the thing.
Okay,
That is incredibly hard to see. Okay, so I'm breaking out of it because I don't trust the system.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Oh, I can see it now.
All I'm doing is going up and down. Guys, I'm going up and down like this just to make sure I got my orientation right. When the snow is thick like this, it does make it kind of hard to see. You can hear it though.
Yeah.
Oh man, this snow is thick, folks.
It is.
The problem with the wind though is it is actually pretty strong crosswind wise. It's got plenty of yaw authority. In fact, let's show you a stall turn. Oh yeah, beautiful. Don't usually do stall turns backward like that. Let's do one forward. Plenty of authority. It's a beautiful flying plane. It actually does pretty good.
Yeah.
The prop is obviously a little bit too weak in the cold, but I'm guessing that's why it was so easy to break. You know, it's pretty chilly out here. Okay, so let's try landing on our gigantic runway. Oh yeah. Even managed to bounce it in. You know what's cool? With rock hard tires, it's not too bad to actually land on the snow. Guys, look how much snow is on us.
Yeah.
That is from minutes of being out
Like
here. This is like
less than
actually
5.
a lot of snow. Hand launch time, okay? So like I said right here, in fact, we're gonna pause. I'm gonna cut it with scissors and then it won't make noise. Okay, so I have some broken scissors and I'm just gonna go ahead and go in here and just clip this. And that's gonna make it about that long. And then I'm gonna actually clip this again. And you can tell what direction it is. You see this? So I'm just gonna come out here and I'm gonna clip it the same cant in about the same position. Now that's gonna be like a death killer right there. So I'm gonna go just a little bit less and just a little bit. You can see how brittle it is. Okay, now, guys, kids, if you're buying this plane for yourself, that'd be unusual, but just be careful, props can hurt you. So I'm just gonna test it with throttle. Sounds a little bit better. So we're gonna go ahead and take back off and we're gonna keep flying for just a few more minutes. You've already seen the garage. So we're gonna go ahead and take off from here. Now you guys may notice it's a little bit less ballsy when you got a smaller prop. That would be conventional flight wisdom. Smaller prop equals a little bit more punchy power, whoa, but not necessarily better performance. You can tell it's not vibrating like crazy, but man, it even flies okay with this size prop. So folks, if you're watching this at home thinking, Brian Phillips RC, what are you doing? I agree. I wish I wouldn't have crashed it, but I gotta say, this thing actually does pretty darn tootin'. Given the terrible conditions, given the fact that I broke the prop on my first initial try to land, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Okay, trying to glide in. There it is. Ooh, get away from that snowbank. You guys are not new to Brian Phillips RC. You might remember when I crashed a rather expensive plane into a snowbank for Buddy RC not too long ago. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay, auto leveling. Now this is auto leveling optimized. And when I say optimized, it's actually auto leveling and stabilization. And you can see it really holds the angle of the plane. And I'm not crazy about the angle. It seems to be impacted a little bit by the crosswind. And that's why you'll notice it's leaning to the right at this point. Now, when I turn it back so it's going the other way, I want to see if it leans back to the left. Yeah, so I think it's just having a little bit of trouble keeping up with the crosswind, but it's actually auto leveling well. So for a beginner to fly this plane would be pretty reasonable to assume, but I gotta say, you better be ordering some spare props, because if Brian breaks his props that quick, you're gonna break your props too. Man, that is thick.
Yes.
It's actually beautiful though. Let's go over here and show them the new Dam gift shop. So you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC. We're building the dam runway down the dam of a pond that we just built over the last year and a half or so. It's actually been about 2 years now, because it took about 14 months to build it. Woo! Wow, that echoed. Okay, so this time I don't think we broke the prop. Remember, snow that's been pushed by a plow, snow that just fell, and the prop survived, okay? So keep in mind, there is quite a difference in hardness of snow.
Yeah.
That snow pile was heavy snow. Okay, so we're gonna hand launch this one more time in auto leveling, just to show you. So that's away from my belly, no throttle. Look at that. That's what auto leveling does. Now into the throttle hard, about 50–60% throttle, just bringing it back. Man, that looks so cool next to the trees. Guys, it's fun because flying in the snow is actually a joy. Except that when you're filming it, it's a giant pain in the balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is really, really fun to fly in the snow, but then, you know, you just it's like playing with your kids. When you're playing with your kids, sledding down hills, you don't think about the discomfort and the cold. You just think about how fun it is, right? So flying in the snow, if this prop survived a gutter,
You just need
and it didn't survive a snow.
What happened?
We got into an unrecoverable stall. Uh-oh.
It even broke the zip tie on the gutter.
That zip tie's old.
Yeah, and cold.
Look, guys, you get to see the battery. I had to stuff it up there to get it nose heavy enough to be correct on the 35mm back CG. All right, what happened there? Let's dismantle this for the people, for the noobs in the audience. What happened was I was in auto leveling and I lost enough airspeed that it slipped into an unrecoverable stall. The auto leveling tried to take over and it sucked. Just enough, by the way, show them the huge amount of damage to our home.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have to tear the house down, rebuild.
File an insurance claim for sure.
So at this point, let's just go ahead and fly some more.
Okay.
So as you can see, that did pretty dang good. And let's
Where do you may go?
just right where you are, it's fine. You hear the geese?
Yep. Can't see them.
Yeah, they are really, really muted.
There's a bunch of them though.
Really?
They're gonna like come out of nowhere.
I know, I'm kind of afraid of a bird strike because the bird would be like 3 times bigger than the
your
plane.
Beaver.
So folks, here on Brian Phillips RC, we try to give you the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. And when I say we try not to dumb down a plane by crashing it twice on Maiden. But I gotta say, it's actually performing really dang good.
It is.
Let's see if we can land. Okay, it went back to like the stabilizer mode. So it's like fully controllable, but it's still got a stabilizer, not auto leveling. But if I have a problem, all I gotta do is press panic and then it should auto level for me. Now I just lifted the nose, that was me, okay? But as soon as you control it, it's gonna come out of that mode. So just keep in mind, if you're trying to fly along and you've got the sticks jacked to the side, it's gonna keep jacking it to the side, watch, okay? Okay, I'm in stabilized mode. Sticks jacked to the down in the back, guess what? I'm still in control. So you gotta let go of the sticks so it can do its thing. Otherwise, you guys are still gonna be the pilot in command, okay? So camera crew, let's go out.
Okay.
So folks, it doesn't look as smooth as if I was set up on an AS3X equipped or AS3X Plus equipped platform, but you could do that if you wanted. You can actually put an AR630 in this. You can get it as a plug and fly, and I bet you this thing would do really good because the FMS flight controller sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired, but that being said, it's doing pretty dang good given the circumstances. We have upset confused wind and we have heavy snow, which is really cool. And you get a lot of wind shear when you get snow like this. Now there are times when you get that calm, just gentle snow. That is not what we're dealing with. It is big snow, but it is not gentle out here, okay? Now, of course, you also get things like heavy blizzard conditions. This is not a blizzard. This is just light wind that's being muted by the snow. And it is really fun to fly this plane. I gotta say, look at the transmitter. If you want a good way to ruin your transmitters, fly in heavy snow. When I did that, I sucked a bunch of snow in. So, you know, we try really hard not to put out garbage content, like where we crash things instantaneously. Man, that house looks pretty. Look at that.
It does, in the snow.
Look at that. You've even got the pumpkin out there still.
If only we had Christmas lights on our tree.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. So FMS, did the GPS work? I have no idea. I'm not sure. Let's take off and see if we can get this to go. We are not going to get off the ground. Hey, clear the runway. Ooh! I don't want to break the prop again. Stay there. I think we're getting low on battery.
It might be. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, guys. We've had so much time, we've managed to crash this thing multiple times. Let's see if we can get off the ground, though.
The snow is getting so thick, though.
It is, I know, it's like, guys, look at this.
The whole tire
look at this.
Of the...
That's just since we've been filming, folks. This was totally cleared.
Our son was out scraping snow.
He was scraping the corner up there and knocking some of the ice off, but it was totally cleared.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I think it's probably dead, but let's launch it.
Okay.
Oh. Whoop, it's dead.
Okay.
Watch yourself.
Where am I going?
Just out of the way.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there it is. And I got no throttle. It wouldn't be a Brian Phillips RC video if I didn't crash it. All right, so there you have it. FMS, good job. Brian Phillips RC, maybe not such good job. I am frankly disappointed in the prop. I'm not disappointed in any other aspect of this plane. It is really good. Okay, so why don't we go that way? So here on Brian Phillips RC, we film in the crap weather so you can make good decisions about your Christmas purchases, okay? This could be a good one. I think it's a super fun plane. I think it's gonna be the right plane for many of you that are interested in Beaver, okay? The Beaver is beautiful. One big drawback, and I know you guys are thinking this, can you put floats on it? Doesn't really look like it. Now, does that mean you couldn't figure a way to put a float set from UMX? I don't know. You might be able to do it, but I will tell you this. In swapping the prop, the screw comes out. The prop is very tightly mounted, and it's got two little dimples that the spinner holds into. It's a little bit of a unique setup, but there is no play, and it is a well-balanced prop. Okay, so that being said, the prop is probably the worst part of this plane, and it's kind of a big deal. So here's the thing. When you order your Beaver in the ready to fly because you want the GPS feature that you didn't even get to see and I don't trust, when I can't see far enough, I don't trust the GPS, okay? You might, and that's exactly what we did with the Ranger that was supposed to have the GPS function, right?
Right.
We pretty much could never get it to connect, but this one did. The elevator goes up and it locks the controls on the elevator only and the throttle only, okay? Elevator and throttle only. But the aileron's still moving, the rudder still moves. You can cancel out of that by pressing and holding this, and it will eliminate the GPS connection, okay? But really, you kind of got nothing to lose, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I don't care about the GPS function. I don't care about the geofencing. I think it's a joke. If you're gonna trust China to fly your plane back, I don't know if you're gonna have good success. You might. We didn't, but I don't trust the weather.
Right.
As far as I can throw it, okay? So what was the biggest issue on this plane? I'm gonna come back full circle and say the prop is a little bit brittle for being a prop on a beginner plane. Also, we have many breakaway props these days, and the breakaway prop would be really nice in this application, but I don't think it would tolerate the torque. This is a pretty powerful plane. It is a brushless motor. We do have at least an LED. Nav lights would have been really nice out there so you could actually see what direction you were going. But also, the landing gear did really good. That being said, we had the cushioning of a nice thick layer of fresh snow. You might not, okay? Keep in mind, rock hard tires tend to bounce them in. You'll notice I was bouncing it in. The controls on this are always going to be inferior to the controls on an NX10 or an NX8 or an iX20 or an iX14 or 12 or whatever it is you're using, or NX7E. The point is this: you got plenty of room inside of this plane for a slightly larger battery if you want, and you want to try to squeeze that in there. That'll get your CG better. And by the way, I did have to put that all the way stuck up in there. Don't stick it into where it hits the stator of your motor.
Right.
Because you can do that, so be careful. We had another plane the other day that did that. And then it's super, super easy to take this plane open. All you have to do is toolless, pull this out, this little thingy, lay it down, take these two clippies, slide them carefully forward and carefully forward. And once those are out, your wing is home free. Oh yeah, and those antennas do come off, but I'm gonna leave them on for now because they're not hurting anything. You can see that the wires do separate easily, and that's your little multi-purpose brick. Very cool setup and very easy to split out flaperons should you decide to do it. However, I'm gonna tell you one thing about flaperons. I'm not a huge fan of them on some of these smaller planes because I just don't feel like they work the way you want them to. And so people have an expectation that it's going to give you a flap equivalent. I don't think they work good enough. If I was going to make flaps on this, I would just get a single servo. I'd put it inside and I would put a linkage that goes into the middle and I would make it work somehow. Because it would be sweet to have a full span flap or a long flap on this thing. Because obviously in real life, Beavers would have a flap or maybe two. So at the end of the day, if you guys are interested in getting your own Beaver to play with, then you should definitely check out the links in the video description. And as I'm describing this, I am putting the wing back on just to show you how hard the assembly is on this entire model. Now, of course, we are going to have an exhaustive unbox build radio setup that will immediately follow, and it's going to give you answers to many more questions that you might have. We also do demonstrate the startup procedure, which is super duper easy. And if you're starting it in the same place after switching batteries, it should be very quick to GPS lock. For us, we were inside and it pretty much took like about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
We didn't film it because we were trying to get out ahead of the weather and we failed miserably. Okay. Also, full disclosure, breaking props because you crashed into a snowbank is probably to be expected. I would, however, highly recommend when you order this plane, order some spare props. This would be the type of plane, FMS, if you're listening, I doubt you are, you probably need to be including a spare prop. This thing broke really easy. Full disclosure, the only reason I had another prop is because they sent it in red and white as well, and yellow. This plane looks really good in yellow.
That does.
The red and white would be impossible to see out there today. So if you plan to fly in blizzards, you might want to get the yellow, red, white, and black highlights. It's beautiful. So that all being understood, I think it's a great plane. It's got amazing details, very clean build, very simple build, very well done for a ready to fly. But within the scope of ready to fly, you're gonna have not enough expo, imprecise controls, and you can fix all that with a plug and fly set up with an AR 630. Okay, an AR 630 is gonna make this a considerably more expensive plane. So by the time you save a few bucks on the ready to fly, you lose the transmitter, you lose the GPS that nobody really needs anyway, and you put in an AR 630, you're gonna have a lighter, more agile, better flying plane, but you will have to spend a little effort setting it up. And for those of you that wanna set up flaps, I do not know that there's a spare channel to use, and even if there is, and you're getting this as a ready to fly, there's no way to actuate that I can tell, okay? These buttons seem to do something, I don't know what, when your transmitter's on, okay? Full disclosure, I dropped this during the unbox build radio setup. It slid off the counter, but it does have a pretty good grippy side here. It's got bumps on it, okay? But then the battery box kind of gets in the way of where you might reach to put your fingers. So all things considered, I think FMS did a really nice job on this particular model. Mother Nature gave us a bit of a curveball today on weather, but I am really happy that we had the opportunity to fly this. I think it's well done. Could it be better? just like every other model we've ever done in the history of time, it could be better. Where are the areas that it fails? Miserably, prop, get spares. 2, LEDs here and here would be awesome because this plane already has outboard mounted micro servos, so it wouldn't be more complicated, or it wouldn't be that much more complicated to add a length of wire that would go back and terminate on what is already a Y cable. You could just put a 3 Y cable and that could pull power for you. Or even better yet, have it wired in here somehow and then put a bright LED on the tips of the wing. Okay, that is something you could add yourself if you like it. And truthfully, if I'm flying at or near twilight, which is commonplace in the middle of winter, then it is really nice to have LEDs. But the visibility and the pop of color really helps. So if you get the white one, you might be looking at a small project there. I do highly recommend you, if you want to fly like the bigger Beaver, to get the AS3X on an AR630, or a 631 would be fine too, but the 630 is going to fit really nice in here because it's got the end pins and it's just small. I would highly recommend you do that. Set up AS3X Plus, and this thing will be rock solid, okay? Really well done. I'm not sure how they're going to handle the ESC because it is an integral ESC in the multi-purpose brick. It's supposed to have a 12 amp ESC built into this. I'm assuming they'll just have a small Predator ESC in the plug and fly options, okay? But beyond that, guys, really cool. FMS, you're doing a good job on this. Even withstanding the complaints or concerns that we had, largely, don't crash it. You won't have that problem. And secondarily, if you depend on GPS, you might want to test it in better conditions. But such is life. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us. We're going to jump straight into the unboxing next. Ways to support us: buy the planes from the links when you like them. If you don't like this, head over to brianphillipsrc.com or bprc.me if you don't know how to spell my name, and you can find this and competitive Beavers, because who doesn't like a nice Beaver? That being said, if you want to support us in other ways, we have Patreon for monthly support as well as YouTube members. Thanks for being monthly supporters, guys. And then YouTube super thanks for one time, or PayPal if you prefer. All of which are much appreciated. But really, at the end of the day, we want to spread the joy of the hobby by getting you in it. So the best way is to buy your own amazing products. We do make small commissions on the sales, but at the end of the day, we still show the weaknesses of every single item that we notice. Doesn't mean that we have all the same problems that everybody else has ever had, but we do have problems that we create, like crashing into gutters. That being said, thanks for enjoying and enduring here on Brian Phillips RC Unbox Next. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips still. Full disclosure, I replaced the prop because I crashed into the much smaller snow berm yesterday. Here's to hoping for success today. I have to plug this battery in and show you the whole startup procedure for this plane. Why? Because it's supposed to have a GPS function. We couldn't test it because it got so far out into the snowstorm, I could not see what the heck was going on. So we're gonna do it from scratch today. I did install my own personal lanyard from some other radio controlled car I had a long time ago. And that is what we're using so I can have my hands free, full disclosure, because this is a ready to fly. I wanna make sure you guys understand what we're doing. And we are gonna put this down on the sort of cleared snow and give you guys an idea of what to expect for startup procedure, okay? Now keeping in mind that this will find GPS, it's gonna move the elevator in this upward position until such a time as it has found a lock. But the ailerons work, the elevator doesn't, and the rudder does. So throttle also doesn't work. You see that flashing light there? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like flash, flash, flicker, flash, flash, flicker, 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 bright, flicker. And so what happens is eventually...
Solid.
And then watch for this to lock and it'll beep and it'll arm the ESC just like you had just plugged it in, okay? So keep it clear so it can see up at the sky. And then you're just watching. Now it's solid.
Yep.
Now watch the elevator. Make sure they can see it because it only happens once.
It's been solid.
Can you see the elevator?
Yeah.
Now it danced. Beep, beep. Okay, cool. So now we have elevator, we have everything, and we have throttle, okay? So this hypothetically has GPS lock. We're gonna stand over here and we're gonna basically take off We're gonna put it into a circuit. We're gonna try to fly out far enough that we lose range and then see what happens. We can also call out return to home with this at any point, which we might try as well, but it was just so windy and so crappy, we didn't ever try it. This is optimized, or what do they call it?
Stabilized.
Stabilized, which is dumb because it's the GPS and auto leveling. This is off, and this is just stabilizer,
yes.
which is called optimized.
Yes.
It's so dumb. So wind's going down this way. We're gonna take off on our intersection to the damn runway. We're gonna go that direction just like we did yesterday to keep things as simple as possible. Here we go. This might be a little bit more aggressive on the pitch, but the prop is actually a little bit smaller, so it should be about the same performance-wise. Feels good. I'm about 50% throttle. A little bit higher on the downwind turn back. So when you got a heavy wind like at your side and then you turn, remember you're flying the air fluid, and then when you turn, you want to bring it in and get a little bit extra speed. Okay, so now that I am at some level of altitude, I'm going to show you coming out. I'm in stabilized mode now. It does feel a little bit weaker, admittedly, than what we were having, but it is quite fun to fly. And yes, it is a very nice looking Beaver, right, hun?
Right.
A little pitchy. Hopefully the battery didn't shift. Now I'm in just stabilized. Now I'm gonna press the button. I pressed it. Now it's auto leveling and it is going to go. I am gonna keep my throttle stick up. Look what's happening. It's attempting to go in a loop. And look at that thing, it's just chilling there like a villain. But I don't trust it as far as I can throw it because now it's gone the wrong way. So I'm now turning, I broke away, put it back to auto leveling, and I'm just trying to figure out what direction I'm going. As you can see, even in this relatively clear sky, it's hard to tell what's going on, but I have a little bit of skill to remind me how to get this thing back to the ground, and we've exploded the birds, as you can see, into the throttle, and now we'll just bring it down. So let's talk about how the GPS works. After we get this awesome slow pass into the wind, very beautiful. Now I'm in no stabilizer just to show you how crazy it can really get. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, now I'm stabilizered. Camera crew, back to your normal side over on the right, please, all the way over. Thank you, very good. That's good enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you, I can land this thing, guys, but I just wanna remind you, auto leveling. Okay, now auto leveling, we're gonna land it in auto leveling, not calling out a return to home, because I just don't understand what return to home actually would look like. But we are gonna land it in auto leveling, and that was really dang good, guys. But I am going to tell you something. That took skill to do. I was riding the controls like a horse, like a bucking bronco. Out of auto leveling, let's take back off. Into the wind, full throttle. Oh boy, wow!
Oh,
let's go see if we broke that prop.
Do you have another one of
everybody,
those?
as you are replacing your speakers, I just want to remind you that crashing is part of the hobby, especially when you fly in wonderful conditions. Good Lord, look at the snow on the roof.
Oh, yeah. We got
Did you
a
get
lot
up there
of snow
and
yesterday.
get that off?
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure. Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it. So this is the damn runway. As you can see, it's sort of cleared. And let's see if we broke the prop, hon. Any bets? Oh, we did not. Nice. So let's talk about our complaints and concerns about this plane. Namely, the props are really brittle. They need to fix that. Also, if you have an order for this plane from the links in the video description below, go back to the link, get some spare props, do not pass go, do not collect $200, get the props. You need them, okay? So I'm going to go full throttle. We're going to try to hand launch this. Oh yeah, there it is. I'm in auto leveling. It actually does really pretty dang good in auto leveling. We haven't flown the Bull for a while, but man, that looks really good though. I gotta say, that's one thing about this plane that it does well is it looks good. I just wish that the flight characteristics were a little bit less wonkadelic. Camera crew, let's go back into this parking spot. Now, that right there. Down the damn runway. The stalls sneak up on you something fierce in this. Look at that crab to just kind of keep it going down the damn runway. You see that angle? Oh man. Okay, now just into stabilized mode. A little bit pitchy. I think part of the problem is my battery might have slipped back just a hair when I like ran into that giant wall of snow.
Are you gonna try and just like fly away from us since we can see.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so I know what direction I'm going. I'll just fly away 320 meters. So I'm gonna go get some altitude. Gosh, it's gonna be hard to see.
That's a long ways.
Okay, I'm turning because I don't know, hon. I'm not sure I can see it that far away.
I know.
320 meters is a long ways, folks.
300.
Auto leveling now just to try to keep my angle. Did I hit the edge maybe? I am not hitting panic. Oh, it's going to altitude, guys. Look at that.
Okay.
I hit the perimeter. Now it's coming home. Come home to camera crew.
Where is it going home to, though?
It's going to here. Hey, you know what? It actually sort of worked. Thank you for going into the sun. Keep your throttle under control. By the way, I just broke out of the controls and I am going to now, I am in control again. All you do is just start using the controls and it does the thing.
So it went all the way from the far side of the field back to here.
Let's go back here so we can stay over here. I'm in auto leveling now. I'm gonna fly this way. Remember, it goes from where you started. Oh, it just fell. That's the boundary. Okay, so now you guys see what I'm doing? Nothing.
Okay, well.
And it's windy as heck up there.
Yeah, it is.
So it is taking a beeline. Of course, I can't see it now. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Where?
Hey, it's over there. Straight over the top of the house.
Okay, so I am bringing it
You're
home.
coming towards herself, yeah.
Yep, now I just gave a little extra throttle. Guys, you see how easy it is to lose track of your plane? Especially when you're flying with the sun behind you.
Yeah.
Now, I am flying toward us, and if you ever lose track of what you're doing, that actually is pretty cool. But it is hardly a return to home because it's not like it's gonna come land.
Right.
But that's the geo-fencing feature. Now, if I'm flying along and I press this button, okay? Let's see what happens. Does it come home? And by the way, it doesn't know what direction the wind's going. So it's just kind of like, I'm gonna take the path of most resistance to return home. Is it turning toward us? No, it's trying to turn toward us.
It's trying to.
It can't. It doesn't have enough authority.
There it goes. Or was that
that
you?
was me.
Okay.
I took over, guys. I didn't want to let it get any worse than it already was. So what it's trying to do is kind of like, it's neat and interesting. Let's see if I chop the throttle. Let's see how long it takes. I'm in auto leveling, no throttle, and I'm just gonna see how long it takes to get down to the ground. Look at that, in the headwind, that's so cool. I'm gonna roll it a little bit. Oh, camera crew loves it when I have her film straight into the sun. This is totally a sailplane right now.
Well, walking on ice.
I am not doing anything except for just kind of an occasional kiss of left or right ailerons to bring it down. And look at that thing, it's doing great, hasn't stalled or anything. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna push down on the sticks, give it a little bit of throttle, and fly out of it so that you can have your eyeballs back.
Too late.
Camera crew, back about 10 steps, right away. Hurry up, faster, thank you.
Ice.
No, I'm on ice too. There it is. So guys, what have we learned about this awesome Beaver? What have we learned about the awesome Beaver? It doesn't come with a lanyard. It doesn't come with a spare prop, and you're gonna need it. Incidentally, the prop was very easy to replace, but it was a little hard to pry. We had to pry it off, and it had two little detents on it. And when you put the spinner on, those detents went down into it, and it sort of locked it together. I did not need that when I replaced it. My girth of my new prop was a little bit deeper, and it went on just fine. It torqued on there, didn't give us any problems. By the way, this prop was a little bit more aggressively pitched.
And there is a model number in the manual. We can like link to the prop. We just don't have access to that yet.
Yeah, because it's not released yet.
Right.
So guys, early release models, this is part of what we deal with. Now, what are my thoughts on this model? A, it's nicely done.
Yeah. B,
it is imperfect like every other model we've ever done. C, China has, as usual, exaggerated the quality and, you know, experience of the return to home and the GPS geofencing. I did not have to change my drawers when I hit the geofence.
Right.
Because when I did that with the Carbon Cub, I about fell over and died because it scared the crap out of me. But this one was very gradual and it just kind of went up. It was like I was flying in the wind and it was just getting pushed. No, it was just climbing. Right. Because that's what it's intended to do. It goes to 90 meters, which is a long ways up.
30 meters.
30 meters, I'm sorry, 90 feet. And then it circles, it comes back to the home and it does is it 90 meter? 120 circle,
I think.
The problem is there's not enough trajectory change to overwhelm the wind.
Right.
In this particular condition. So as with always, the moral of the story is fly in good conditions.
Right.
We are flying in poor conditions. If it weren't poor conditions, we wouldn't have broke the first prop. If it weren't poor conditions, we wouldn't have broke the second prop. If it weren't poor conditions, I wouldn't be freezing my ears off right now.
Yeah.
If it weren't poor conditions, it would be much more enjoyable. But I gotta say, it was kind of fun to fly in the snow yesterday.
It was.
It just doesn't make the plane look very good. So if anybody is listening in China, it's winter here in Iowa. Now, I know you're not just marketing to Iowa, you're marketing to the whole world or whatever, North America or whatever the Western cultures. I don't know who you're marketing to, but I can tell you this. If it's like this right now, it's probably not going to give you the best RC experience that you could possibly have. And those of you that made fun of my visor, I got a new hat and it says Brian Phillips RC, so get one yourself. Then you can make fun of my visor some more. I will wear it when it's warmer, just so you know. We gotta get a, if we can't get anybody to make visors for us.
Where's my hat? Nobody sells visors.
Nobody sells visors.
That should
That's how in style they are. So, but anyway, with that detail, and I knew you guys were concerned, this plane is very fun. It is very cool. I like it a lot. Despite its flaws, it's actually pretty well done. It's kind of like this. If you get a Volantix 400 millimeter warbird and you expect it to be an E-Flight Ultra Micro, you are gonna be sorely disappointed, okay? Because they're not the same.
No.
But if you crash an Ultra Micro into your garage, it's gonna be broken. And if you crash this into your gutter, it might survive. But strangely enough, and it's some soft snow, you're gonna break the prop. I don't know how that equation works.
It wasn't soft snow yesterday.
Yeah, that pile's not soft either.
No.
Trust me, I know. So at the end of the day, I think what we've done is we've concluded, if you're a beginner and you went through our Unbox Build radio setup and you said, good Lord, you've made a 5-minute project into a 50-minute video. Congratulations, Brian. Then welcome to Brian Phillips RC. This is what we do. We hope we answered some of your questions here. If the conditions were good, I think this would be a super fun plane. White or yellow. They call them white or yellow. This one's yellow with some highlights of red and white. And you saw how hard it was to see out there in this blue sky. It's actually about as good a sky as we've had in weeks for filming because it's just been gray. And then it gets dark at like 4:45. I feel like I'm in Antarctica. But that thing looks pretty good. It's a good plane. It's not a bad price. I would definitely highly recommend it. However, they do need to fix a few things. Prop. Secondly, both of our examples had a tail that looked like it had been flipped over and bent in packaging. Now, did it cause the plane not to work? No, but I would have been annoyed, okay? So, if you have to straighten it up, I guess that's a personal issue. But if your tail comes bent, you may need to use a toothpick to reinforce it. Or just bend it and be done with it, and it's fine. And to be honest, it's fine. But that is definitely a very well done plane. I still firmly believe that the best way to make that good plane even better, if you're an aficionado, if you fly a lot, you've got the skills to fly, you don't want the geofencing, which is gimmicky at best. Yeah, does it work? Kind of. But like, honestly, it's like this. If you trust a plane not to fly away on you because of that system, then I have some stuff to sell you, okay? Because I wouldn't make any bets on it, okay? Just let's be real. Let's be real. Don't make bets on that. The auto leveling works good. The flight controller is fine. It's a little bit restrained for my taste. But guess what? Plug and fly. Yep. All of a sudden, AR630, you got a pretty dang good flying airframe. AS3X, you can open up the bank ankles a little bit wider. And we've only done like 4,000 plug and fly planes that you can follow along. In fact, you could follow the big Beaver. The only difference is you'd have flaps. Yes, we do stop.
Oh,
there's a big boy in the background too.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's pretty. So at the end of the day, Brian Phillips RC, we love aviation. We watch planes flying by. The other day we had a Bell 206 that went by at like 100 feet.
Yep.
Then it came back at like 100 feet. And then later we had, what did we have later?
That was
I think it was a Blackhawk.
Blackhawk, yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool. But anyway, they were like right there. I was thinking, hey, good thing we're not flying a plane right now.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we love this stuff. We're not just faking it for camera, and we're not making it up. We're definitely not doing it for money because we've blown way too much of it doing this.
Or because it's comfortable out here.
Yeah, definitely not comfortable. So really at the end of the day, we just want to help you guys find success in your measures toward getting into RC aviation. Whether it be, and we do cars and trucks and motorcycles and all sorts of stuff, boats, but our primary thing is fixed wing and helicopters. That's what we do because we love them. It's the most freeing RC experience that you can have. It's also one of the hardest, and it gets pretty expensive if you're not careful. So just remember, these planes are inexpensive to start. They'll get you everything you need except for a lanyard and a few AA's and maybe a prop. But I would suggest get a few props and you'll actually be covered then, okay? It didn't break our motor mount. It didn't break the motor. We did have a little bit of fatigue on this foam. I wanted to show this because I didn't notice it until we had shut down the camera yesterday. Right here, we have some fatigue on this, not unusual. This was bent out of the box, but you can see where it broke there. China glue would fix that, but honestly, I wouldn't even mess with it. It's totally fine. It's not gonna be a big deal, but you could glue that so that it closes up and stays. By the way, if you turn that off, it won't do that while you're playing with it, okay? But otherwise, it's been a really pretty good flight experience, and I did kind of slam down on that last landing. Also, the flight times have been really long, surprisingly long, for as far as we flew. Yesterday, when I ran the battery down, I got unplugged it in, it was at 2.45 volts per cell. It was very low, but yet it kept flying. And it barely ran out when we landed. So I think I taxied it over there.
Yeah.
And, but we also had shortened the prop quite a bit. This prop is a little bit shorter, so our performance is gonna be a little bit worse than normal. And that might also explain why it couldn't make the turn into the wind. So keep in mind, when you're in return to home, the throttle condition is still under your control, but don't break out of it by moving your rudder, okay? Make sense? All right, hopefully we answered all your questions. We gave you the no BS Brian Phillips RC review, and it hurt. So when you guys are ready to buy one of these, reward us. Buy from the links in the video description below, and reward yourself by buying props, okay? At the end of the day, if you can't find props at FMS, find something that's similar. We found them to be 6, probably by 3, but we cannot verify that at this point in time while we're filming. So we'll try to put it in a pinned comment or in the video description so you can find it easily. And we'll probably just try to put a link to it, okay? Yeah. So at the end of the day, we try to give you guys the full truth, nothing but the truth. And we show all the details we can possibly squeeze into a video because at the end of the day, you know, we have seen and experienced so many of these RC airplanes, we can really tell the difference between the garbage and the decent. This is definitely not as good as the big 2-meter Beaver. That thing is awesome. It is very well done. And provided you don't have a loose motor mount and it shoots off on you, then you should be good to go. Which I believe they fixed that too. Some people had problems with it. We never had that problem.
Nope.
So, can't wait for spring. It is technically not even winter yet.
Yep.
But here on Brian Phillips RC, we're taking one for the team. So stay tuned, there is so much more right around the corner. If you want to support us in other ways, we have Patreon for monthly support, Patreon for monthly support, YouTube members for monthly support, YouTube super thanks, and then PayPal if you want to do one-time donations. We appreciate all of them, they're always great, but at the end of the day, the best way to support us financially is buy these amazing planes, or something that's even better than this, by going to brianphillipsrc.com and checking out competitive offerings, whether it's a Beaver or a float plane or a fixed wing or general aviation or an airliner. It doesn't matter. Whatever meets your needs right now, we'll be there to help you get it done. So check it out, or bprc.me. By the way, we do sell these hats if you want one. I usually prefer visors that are more nerdy. So if you guys have a problem with it, you'll just have to just buy one of these instead. So beautiful, good job, way to go, FMS. I like the white color too, it's pretty. And by the way, this prop actually ended up being really nice looking. And I think that was a 4.5 pitch on a 5.5 prop. So it was quite a little bit smaller prop. So more aggressive pitch, gonna tend to put out a little bit more speed, a little bit less low end agility in my opinion. So I think that the prop that came with it is actually quite a bit better fit. So hopefully we answered all your questions. Stay tuned, Unbox next. YouTube, Brian Phillips. It's been a while. Welcome to Brian Phillips RC. We're gonna open this box right now and show you exactly what it has in it. And then we're gonna show you if it works. If you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, we unbox them, we put them together, and we set up the radio systems. And that's usually when it's on a leaf blower. So this is all new from FMS. And it comes in 2 liveries. It is the 800mm Beaver, which is a GPS equipped plane that is coming in a ready to fly package. So just keep in mind, you can get this in white and red, which looks just like the Big Beaver, which by the way, the Big Beaver is awesome. Okay, if you don't have one, you might want to consider it. But if you're brand new to flying radio-controlled airplanes, welcome to Brian Phillips RC, where we show all the steps instead of just assuming you know everything, because if you knew everything, you probably wouldn't be watching a video like this. As you can see, red and yellow, plug and play or ready to fly. The ready to fly comes equipped with the GPS option. Now, full disclosure, we have never seen this feature in a working state. We have seen from FMS a similar comparative offering that didn't work in our application. Some people had success, some people didn't. I'm hoping this one works. We're gonna do our very best to give it a fair shake, but we are not gonna cover for them if it doesn't work. Oh yeah, look at that, beautiful Beaver. So, ready to fly, if you're brand new to RC, means you get all the things you need, but then a lot of times it doesn't come with the AAAs or the AAs for the transmitter, okay? So in this case, I don't know what we're gonna see, but we're gonna show you all the details. By the way, if you wanna learn more about other planes that we've done in the past, then you can check out brianphillipsrc.com. But in the meantime, while you're watching this, let's look at the specs here. Wingspan 800mm, overall length, flying weight, 250 grams. Really?
No, more than 250, or
It says approximately.
Really?
So if this is sub 250, that would be incredibly good.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Okay, very good. 12 amp electronic speed control, the servos, digital, 2 gram, 4 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is small.
Yeah.
Guys, if this is sub 250, you won't need to worry about the prospect of a remote ID, but I don't trust it until I see it on the scale. So we're gonna see it on the scale shortly. If you don't know where remote ID is basically a little transponder that goes in a plane, and it's capable of telling its heading and direction and where you are when you launch and all sorts of different details. And it has been kind of a thorn in the side of the hobby. But the FAA seems to think that bad actors are gonna follow rules, which is idiotic. Okay, so here we go. So we have the F4 6-channel transmitter user manual. And then this is the manual for the Beaver, okay? So what's included in the package in this case includes the transmitter, okay? So this is their F4, so this stick was adjusting out. So you see how it screws out like that? If you want longer sticks, this should be a jam nut sometimes, and other times it feels like this one's just gonna screw out. So if you get one and it's like loose or it pops off or whatever, you just have to thread that back on, okay? But full disclosure, you can adjust the height, but I don't see a jam nut. Some of these have a separation in the middle, and then also these are sort of shallow pokers. And if you don't know what I mean by pokers, when you get into the hobby grade transmitters, many times you'll have quite significantly sharper sticks. Now this is an NX10, so it would be in the, you know, entry level, you know, retail grade, but still hobby grade. This would be in more of like the toy grade, but it's actually not terrible. Ooh, maybe that does separate. No, it just spins, the whole thing spins. So nothing wrong with it. It fits the adult male hand. It's not gonna be too small for the adult to hold on to, but it's also not huge. And the battery bay is going to obstruct your finger grab just a little bit. I am a thumb flyer. Some people are pincer grippers. I make fun of them, but I can't explain on camera because it would be inappropriate. Also that it's ribbed for her pleasure. Excuse me, dimpled. And that will help because these things get slick, really slick, okay? There's a lanyard point, which is nice. We have trimmers, which should be used for like the rudder. This of course is throttle. It's got detents. You can feel it. You can hear it on the mic. Okay. So many times on the more high quality transmitters, there's actually an adjustment strap where you can change that so you can have a little bit more feedback on the detents, or you can make it looser so that there is no detent, so it moves smooth like this. But since this is an airplane, in mode 2, this would be throttle, rudder, ailerons to roll the airplane, pitch for elevator. So I'd point the nose down, point the nose back. Or if you imagine this were a stick inside of an airplane, you know, this would roll the plane, and then this would go up and down. If you had a yoke, this would roll the plane, and then this would go back and forth, depending on the yoke style. And then of course, you know, your rudder pedals would do this. But in a mode 2 transmitter, that's the way it works. Now, this might have 2 power buttons you have to press together. It might be one or the other. But then this is gonna act as a panic button and a GPS function button. So if you want to cancel out of the GPS function while booting, it's going to bring up the elevator and go through a certain series. You can cancel by pressing and holding this, right?
Right.
So like if you know you're not going to bother with it, that's fine. Away from your belly is going to take full advantage of the GPS function and auto leveling. So when you let go of the sticks, it's going to fly along and it's just going to go straight and level. And then when it hits the GPS geofence, which is 120 meters or 360 feet from where you are when you initiate, then it's going to turn around for 3 to 5 seconds before you can overwhelm the control system and take back over, okay? Now this is going to have a return to home function as well, which I believe is in that button.
Yes, I believe
while you're flying in GPS. Now again, we are just telling you what the manual said and not necessarily what our results were, okay? Now, the way we do our unbox build radio setups on big planes is that the unbox build radio setup is a separate video. You may be watching this as one, you may have just seen the flights and now you're watching the unbox. So remember, chronologically, we don't know, we haven't seen it yet, okay? Full disclosure, we did actually get the red and white, but we figured the yellow would show better with snow, as you can see. And yes, we did just build a pond recently. I'm not 100% sure if you're gonna be able to get floats for it, but as you can see, if you want to show them from that window, the ice is covering most of the pond. And then if you guys haven't seen, the damn gift shop is there, which is kind of handy, okay? And the damn runway is covered with snow because it's just rock based still, okay? So the damn runway is going to be 600 feet by 12. It's going to be a little bit bigger and it'll have an undulation down and then flat and then an undulation back up. Whereas our main runway is about 11 to 14 feet wide. It's about 300 feet long of useful runway, but we stand on the crown of it, okay? We're treed in on either end. That one, we're clear. So we obviously did a torture test on the transmitter. Let's see if it survived. It survived. It's all in one piece. Nothing's broke. So there you go. So a couple things to keep in mind if you're an adult giving this to a child. A, you need to be very careful about that. B, you also want to understand that kids' hands will fit this transmitter well. We do have kids. They're aging currently from like around 8 to around 16. So this will fit in their hands fine. But if you're an adult guy with big hands and you work with your hands, you'll be able to still hang on to this. Some of the kids ready to fly transmitters feel significantly cheaper and crappier than this. Okay, so this is pretty decent. And that's not to cover for any indisparity, but I just think FMS did a really nice job on this transmitter. 3-position switch. Okay, so I told you the GPS setting, which is also auto leveling. Notwithstanding, if you cancel out of GPS while you're booting, and then this will just do auto leveling still, because the flight controller on board will keep it level when you let go of the sticks, regardless of the throttle condition. By the way, in GPS, if you hit the geofence and it turns around, it's supposed to come back at 30 meters, 90 feet, and then it will circuit in approximately a 30 to 40 meter circle, so about 120 feet at the minimum threshold for speed. Now, I don't know if that's set by a throttle condition on board or if it's set by feedback from a stall. As it stalls, it goes, I don't know. Or it might just be set from this, wherever your throttle condition is. We'll try to demo as much of that as we can, given that it's winter and it's a little bit windy. It's always windy during winter here. To cancel out of the either return to home prompt or geofencing return would be to start controlling the flight again, okay? Also, it is regardless of condition. any of the 3 modes. Now in the middle, towards your belly, so I'm all the way out, I'm in GPS mode. In the middle, we have no stabilization, no auto leveling. The way we read it, which is a little bit of translation, is there is nothing. It's just a normal model with no stabilization or auto leveling. And towards your belly would be where we normally fly, which is a stabilized, similar to AS3X in Spectrum, which we do a lot of Spectrum products here on this channel, but that'd be stabilized.
They call it optimized.
They call it optimized.
Which is why it's
because
confusing.
they call this stabilized, which is annoying. China, you need to start doing the same names for things that are common, okay? This is walking upright, okay? We all do the same thing. We're all humans, okay? All airplanes. You don't call this AS3X, I understand, but that needs to be called stabilized.
Right.
That needs to be called off. That needs to be called auto leveling plus GPS where available, okay?
Yep.
That needs to also be the return to home function. So at the end of the day, is it that big a deal to understand a manual? No, but I just want you guys that are learning to be RC pilots to find success. That's what we do on this channel. That's why we take the time to teach you what these things do. And our honest assessment will follow. It may not work. That being said, the last plane we had that was like this from FMS that didn't work in the GPS function, we still really liked it. It was a great plane. It just didn't ever do GPS.
And that was several years ago.
It was.
Different system.
This is a different system. So we're very excited to see if this works. Because to be honest with you, if they get it right, it could be a game changer. It's a pretty awesome system based on what the manual says. But we've read a lot of manuals over the last 10 and a half years of doing this.
Yes, we have.
Here on Brian Phillips RC, we've been doing this for thousands of reviews, or at least videos, hundreds of items, some of which are very expensive, some of which are not. This is actually a pretty reasonably priced aircraft, and if it can get you started and you can have all the bells and whistles and thrills of GPS, auto leveling, stabilization, or not, you can actually take that and hopefully learn to fly, okay? Very good, so you have a B3. We've seen this charger from others that's very cheap. It's got a light that goes from red or green, depending on if it's charging. It will charge a 2S pack with 3 wires. This is ground compared to the cell 1 and then cell 1 to 2. So it's a positive and negative in series. And same thing here. So this is a 3S. And then over here we have the AC input. In our case, it's going to be a North American plug. If you're in Australia or Europe, you're going to get different plugs potentially. Or if you're in China or Asia, then you might get a different cable. Of course, it's a Chinese company, but they do send this stuff worldwide as far as we understand, okay? So, by the way, if you want to help support Brian Phillips RC, follow the links in the video description below. Buy the planes that you like. We never ask you to buy something you don't like. In fact, we try to talk you out of the bad stuff. Okay, it's a very light gauge cable. There's nothing special about it. We have an outlet down here. Plugged it in. As you can see, the green lights I just described are right there, shining in their own infinite glory. Okay, and it looks like it does come with a little Predator battery, 850 milliamps, and a JST equipped with silicone-coated cables for good pliability, but this is, in fact, a 2S battery. So we're gonna go ahead and plug that in and get it charging. But while that's charging, we're gonna talk about one other thing real quick, which is the voltage alarm and the XBC battery checker, both of which are awesome to have. This is a competitive offering. It is not included. This is an offering made by Predator for FMS. You can buy these dime a dozen. We have links to these in our supplies tab. Do we have links to this on the supplies? It needs to be there.
Yes, I believe
this is awesome. It is new from Spectrum, the XBC 200 battery checker. We love it. Also does servo testing, but just want to show you this. Okay, we'll disconnect that. We have had it plugged in, full disclosure, for a few seconds, negative to positive. So you can see you need the most negative lead here. Plug it in, beep, 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 beep. And then it tells you 2 cells. The nominal voltage is 7.67. Cell 1 is at 3.82, and cell 2 is at 3.83. Pressing this button will tell you where it's going to alarm. 3.6, 3.6. You can toggle that. 3.8, you can turn it off so it doesn't alarm. You can turn it to 2.7, which would be really low. By the way, if you get to 2.7, one of your cells is gonna fall off drastically. It'll give you about 10 seconds of warning. 3.3 would be pretty low, okay? I like to run these at about 3.6, and they will alarm at 3.6, even if one of the cells, because there's two, drops below 3.6. On a LiPo or lithium polymer pack, we fly from 4.2 volts down to about 3.2, 3.1, just depends on the plane, and it depends on the current load you're dragging from the main discharge lead. Okay, this is called a JST plug. It's gonna give you better purchase in terms of the pin size than you would on this, which is a Hextronics balanced lead for a 2S battery. You'll notice 3 wires. Okay, so obviously you see lots of batteries over here. We have lots of batteries over here. We will spend time to help teach you about batteries on Brian Phillips RC. If you don't have batteries, you can't fly planes. Well, unless you're flying gas planes and you still need batteries, okay? Now, one other trick that nobody ever talks about, which is kind of cool on these, is you can technically go to the negative and you can do your JST into here. And it will freak out a little bit because it's gonna think it's overcharged, but it does work and it doesn't damage it in my experience. For the nominal voltage, that's because the JST pitch on the part that bites the pin that slides in, like this, is similar to a Hextronics balance lead, okay? In case you were wondering. That being said, I'm gonna plug this back into the charger. We are at 3.76. Oh, we'll show you on the XBC battery checker. A lot of you guys have this. Oops. You'll notice that it is not marked positive or negative, which is annoying. So you go to the most negative, and it shows 7.66, a little bit more resolution. And yes, you can also click and go in and see different things, but that's usually for smart batteries, okay? Now, real quick, unplugging that, I just wanna show you, even this one will operate if you get the polarity right, but it's gonna be like, hey, your cell is kind of screwed up, because it would think that's one cell. This is a really nice tool because you've also got the IC2, IC3, and IC5 built in, which is a nice upgrade from the XBC 100, which, by the way, if they're on sale, which they probably will be on sale soon, buy them while they're hot because it's nice to have a few of them, okay? These are nice to have a few of too. They are inexpensive and readily available from many, many different sources. If you want to support Brian Phillips RC, you can check out bprc.me/supplies, or just go there and click on the supplies tab. It'll bring you, you can pick those things up, okay? They're very valuable. This will go in the plane and alert us to low voltage, but we may have telemetry feedback on this plane where we hear some audibility about low voltage here. And if we do, we'll share that as well. This is nice if you aren't sure, but we'll go ahead and charge it here, and we'll just demonstrate that it works real quick. And then here in a minute, we'll put it onto a faster charger, okay? So as you can see, we got the plane. You're probably thinking, good Lord, we've watched a lot of information come out of your mouth. When are you gonna get the plane out? Right now. Beautiful. First of all, I gotta say, absolutely gorgeous finish. There's a small imperfection I'm gonna point out in just a second, but look how smooth this is. There's very limited dimples like this. And this has a little bit of flexible to it. It is EPO, it feels like, but low density EPO. I'm a little bit concerned about the strength here in the middle, but that's why we have wing struts. Here is the imperfection I noticed right there on ours. Not the end of the world, probably not a lot to write home on, but very good decaling, beautiful application. Actually looks amazing, but they are vinyl decals, which is nice. Softer foam, resilient, very good backdrop. This clear matches really nice on the yellow. Mechanical pincer style adjustment, I love it. Small servos and 2 of them. Those are micro servos, okay? Very small servos, but 2 of them. Note to self, Y cable, separatable, AKA you could put in flaprons if you needed to. That being said, this setup is not gonna support flaprons because it is by factory default set up a certain way, okay? Also, we have this little inboard tuck right there. I love it. It looks just like a real beaver. And who doesn't love looking at a beaver? So we'll lay that right there and we'll pull the rest of the beaver out. Oh yeah, that is gorgeous. US Air Force livery. The white is unpainted, looks a little bit fugly if you ask me, but it's not too bad. I like that it's not as heavy as it would be if it was painted, although there's not much that isn't painted on the bottom, okay? A little bit bigger than average wheel on the back, should be good for use. Pretty hard tires, we'll see how that works. Spring loaded here, a little bit of crush in the battery bay, but I can live with that. JST connection there. Looks like we've got a light that goes forward facing, or maybe a pair of lights. Nope, it's a singular light. That's probably our LED for feedback on the GPS and things like that. Then there's this. Maybe it's under there. I don't know. Looks like there might be something under that.
No, I think it's a light on the front for
Okay, so
GPS.
It's a multicolor? It's kind of hard to tell because usually LEDs that have 2 leads are not going to be multicolored LEDs. So it might just flash. Also, you can see the GPS plug. Oh, that's where the GPS stuff looks through. And then this is the output for that LED. And it looks like we've got a multi-purpose brick that includes the ESC output. Then there's power with a small capacitor. Beautiful. I love that. So if you have a little bump in voltage, and then there's another capacitor back here, which must be acting as a little BEC boost. We have the rudder, we have the elevator, and then this will, of course, be the ailerons. And then this goes back out to the GPS. That's for an antenna, okay? So very cool. So the antenna is probably that thing, I'm guessing, okay? Now, I don't know that for a fact, but it's just based on past experience. Looks like this little socket here. By the way, beautiful match, beautiful finish. I don't really care that it's unpainted foam. Some people really care, but I just want to point out the fact that my tail is already broken.
Ooh, it is.
It's not cracked, it's just bent. It's soft. So if you get one like that, you can straighten it up. But I will warn you, this is a weak spot in the model. You can already tell it's weak, okay? And when you flip this thing over, if you do, it's going to break. It's gonna eventually break. So if you get one and yours is damaged in the box, one thing you can do is you can take a toothpick and you'll wanna drive it in at a bit of an angle here, and that'll buy a little bit of mechanical strength. We're gonna show it as is just to show you that it'll do fine. On a full scale plane, you wouldn't want that flopping around, but on a little RC like this, it's probably not gonna make a big impact. But also, the servo for the elevator is back here with a mechanical trim adjustment here by pinching or widening that. I love it. It's on the outside hole, which means you got a little bit more authority if you go to the inside hole. And then you'll notice right here on the rudder, same thing. What do we like about this plane so far?
It's all connected.
We haven't made one assembly choice or decision.
Right.
Also, brushless motor, and get a load of how beautiful that is. That is absolutely gorgeous. This is not a quick detach prop. It is screwed on, it will break, okay? If you hit this prop on the ground at pace, it will break, and look at your ground clearance, there ain't much. So, look at the ground clearance, look how close you are to hitting. Somebody just pulled up in a budget truck, so they must be delivering something. But as you can see, that will strike the ground, so you wanna be careful to keep that thing level. I'm a little bit fearful we're gonna go zzz like that and screw up the prop. By the way, this looks like a pretty nice balanced prop because it does look well done, but I cannot see the size because the spinner on this particular plane blocks access to the most inboard portion of the blade where we normally see what the pitch and size of the prop is. So we'll have to refer to the manual if we want to see what that prop size is. Okay, so we're down to where there's a little bit of something here. I almost missed that.
Ooh, yeah.
Antennas and a quick detach for the wing and a quality control. Look outside. Holy crap, it's coming down fast.
Oh, man.
So we're gonna have to probably film it.
Is there someone
Nope.
up there in that top, or is that just foam?
That is just the stuff
Okay.
I stuffed back in.
Okay.
Okay, so that
that's
is
it?
all the pieces, and I will point this out real quick. You could put this plane away in the package,
You could, really.
which is really, really nice. Now, is it gonna take 5 minutes to put away, or is it gonna take 10? I don't know. 5 or 10 minutes is probably reasonable for the average Joe, especially somebody that doesn't have 14 planes in their front room like we do, okay? But at the end of the day, we just wanna make sure that you guys understand you're gonna get most everything you need with the exception of the batteries for this. So we're gonna pause and get those and come right back. Okay, so we got 4 AA batteries. The way we ordered our batteries, we ordered them in evidently 5 packs.
Well, we didn't have a choice.
Yeah, So this is going to use 4 batteries. Some of the ready to flies use 6, but the vast majority use 4 because of the voltage level that's required, okay? So if you get one of the 6ers, it's usually for a more sophisticated transmitter setup. I did notice it's kind of hard to open this, but it didn't break, it just popped off, okay? So batteries go like this, press in, flat to the spring, flat to the spring. You may have noticed we upgraded, if you watch on Brian Phillips RC, to Amazon Basic. No, it's not sponsored. I wish it was, because we went through 10 billion batteries from Harbor Freight, and they were terrible, every single one of them. But you know what's funny about batteries? When they're heavy, they have more capacity, and they will discharge longer because that's what chemical is inside of there. So if they're very light, they're very crappy, and that's why our Harbor Freight batteries were so crappy.
Great. Oh.
But they were really cheap.
Dirt
and
cheap.
You know what's nice about cheap batteries? They don't leak as easy.
Right.
Because there's not as much
nothing in them.
chemistry. There's not as much chemical happening. So this one is a lot heavier, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, I did drop this, full disclosure, so I'm not going to beat up the manufacturer if this doesn't turn on. But if it doesn't turn on, I'll understand why. Okay, so it turned on. You see that button? It feels like maybe it's a little bit loose. You guys remember at the beginning of the video, I go, well, now you know how that happened. Looks like it might have broke that one free just a little bit, but there appears to be.
Does that button do something else?
I don't know, maybe. That went to a fast flash, that went to a slow flash. So we'll have to investigate to see if that actually does something or doesn't. But I just want you guys to see fast flash, slow flash. Press together, nothing. Turns off. Turns on. There is audible feedback from this for button features, okay? So we're gonna turn it back on. You should be able to press either button. That's what I was trying to demonstrate. Okay, turns on.
Okay.
There is an audible feedback with switch condition changes, and trimmer goes long beep when you're in the center of the range. So what I mean by trimmers is if you have to hold the stick like this to get it to fly level, then you can trim it a little bit. Now keeping in mind that auto leveling will auto level to an auto level position. But in normal flight with nothing, or with stabilized flight, then you can use the trimmers to actually stop a slow roll, okay? But usually auto leveling, if the plane isn't flying level, it's gonna still keep going straight because that's what it's been told and commanded to do. Unless it's commanded to go at an upward angle, and then it's gonna fly uphill, okay? Not much you can do about that. And the other thing is, because this is canted up, because it's a tail dragger, it will hopefully be learning level like this and not like that. Because if it's like this, it will take off and climb all the time. So the way you can counter that is by lowering your throttle to keep it flying and not gaining altitude. The problem is that puts you into what we call a high alpha configuration. Exaggerated, this would be very high alpha. You're never gonna fly a plane like this unless you're climbing. It will just stall and fall out of the sky, okay? Stall is where the plane stops flying because you have removed the lift to drag to speed and the coefficients of each of those, okay? So when you're flying, if it stalls, you're gonna have, usually it's gonna tip one direction or the other if you're flying uphill, or if you're flying downhill, you generally won't stall. So if you don't wanna stall, either have enough speed or have enough down so that it can glide, okay? So that's why if you're going uphill, you gotta be careful about stalling. All right, so basic flight principles from Brian Phillips RC. Now let's talk about charge on this. By the way, that is obnoxious, and we've seen that from other FMS products. So I'm gonna turn this off. FMS, if you're listening, it is so annoying. Shut off that feature.
Yep.
1 minute beeps, I don't wanna hear them ever.
Nope.
Okay? All right, so here we go. So we got red lights, so we're gonna disconnect. That means it's still going. When it's done, it'll go to red. Okay, I'm gonna show on the XBC real quick. So this is keyed. It also won't damage it if you plug it in wrong. So we went up a little bit. We're at 71% charged. Let's go to a more higher quality charger. If you guys are used to following along at Brian Phillips RC, you know that we do this all the time. And I left my adapter over here. This is a JST plug like we discussed, but I want to charge it on this S2200. This is the Spectrum offering. It's expensive. The S155 would do just fine for this. It does up to 4S, this does up to 6S. 200 watts, 2 separate charging ports that have the IC3 and the IC5. So of course we got to go into the IC3 on port 1, and we're going to go black to black and orange to red. It's keyed, so you can only do it one way. All right, so plug that in and then plug in the balance lead. The negative is all the way over to the left. So plug that in, it populates the screen with your voltages. Now we're going to press play, scroll up, and we're going to change this. This is an 850 milliamp hour pack. And since it is a 25C pack, you could do about 2.5 times 850 divided by 1,000. So 850 times 2 would be, of course, 1700. And then half again more would be 3. And so let's just call it 2,000 milliamps. Okay, so you can highlight this and you could charge about 2,000 and be relatively safe. It's going to go a lot faster, and then you'll see milliamp hours counting in, show the people the weather. That's so cool. I hope we can fly while it's snowing. It's so pretty. Okay, so 2 amps would be 2,000 milliamps. Milli, of course, the prefix speaking to a millennia or 1,000 years. Okay, 1,000 milliamps. If you guys aren't familiar with what a milliamp is, it is 1,000th of an amp. This is now disconnected. I want to also talk about the speed on this. This is going to be charging at or about 3,800 milliamps output. If you have 120 volts AC through, 100 through 240 volts AC. So this would charge at about 800 milliamps. That's going to charge right now, I've set it to 2,000. So it's going to be about roughly 2.5 times the speed to keep that safe. Now, these things, we're done with them for now. We'll put those out of the way. We need to assemble this plane. It should be a relatively easy assembly. Okay, so we've got this thing batteried up. We're ready to go with that. We've already pre-dropped it and tried to break one of the buttons. We're gonna now plug this in. Now, how do you think we plug that in, hun?
I would plug it in so your colors match.
But it says, where does it say to plug it in? It says channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, and channel 4. I don't know which one.
Okay.
So as a result, we have to check. But also, we're gonna check the colors line up with the correct pins. So in the manual.
Right here.
Yep. So it looks like 3-in-1 integrated, meaning the multi-purpose brick.
Yep. So
The
channel
flight
1.
controller is only available in the ready to fly for PNP. Please connect it to your receiver. Now that being said, yes, you can get this as a plug and fly, and then you could install something different. There is ample room for an AR620 or 630. So if you guys were gonna use an AR630, I just wanna see if I can show you and demonstrate the size. The AR630 is gonna be probably the next best option, and I wanna make sure that you see the size on that, because a 630 doesn't have antennas. It makes it a good fit. So if you're doing this as a plug and fly, there will be a lot more setup so that you can get the transmitter to work with this setup. But then also you need to keep in mind, there is no electronic speed control in this plane right now. So this has a built-in speed controller. So I'm assuming if you get this as a plug and fly, it must come with a 12 amp ESC. There would be an external ESC.
Oh,
because they couldn't
question.
offer it as a plug and fly and not have an ESC.
Right.
So you'll want to do your due diligence when you order to make sure you get the right thing. This thing is expensive compared to what's included here as a package deal. You'll lose all the GPS functions, you'll lose the transmitter, and you'll have to provide potentially your own battery. But again, it's an 850 milliamp hour 2S pack. Those should be relatively easy to get, and you can order those from FMS or from a Spectrum offering that'd be in a similar size class. Just keep in mind you want the JST plug, okay? Just to be clear, there is a JST equipped Spectrum pack, if I remember right. But just remember, this is an 853S that we have, and it has an IC2 connector. So if you get the IC2 offering from Spectrum, make sure that you're getting your appropriate adapters. And I am 99% sure that they have an offering that will actually give you an output to JST. Yeah, and I think it's, we'll take a second and pause and find it. Literally found it as we were pausing, okay? So that would be the adapter you would need, but this is 3S. Make sure you're finding the 2S. This is actually a smart battery too. So you would have the protections of smart, but this is 3S. It's gonna be a little bit bigger than a 2S. So as a result, I wanna talk about fitment. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty dang big in there, okay? So keep in mind, that would fit okay. Yes, you would have this, but they probably have an ESC poking around somewhere in there, okay? So if the thing will handle 3S, this might be a great alternative for us when we get ready to move up to the next step, okay? Just a thought. Just keep in mind this little adapter is not going to necessarily be included with your battery if you want smart batteries, okay? Smart batteries, of course, will be good because you will be able to then immediately slam your IC2 connector into your XBC200. Booyah! This one's uncharged, by the way. Okay, so it's gone to storage charge automatically by being a smart battery, which means it has a battery management circuit right there. If you ever touch and it's warm, that's because it's automatically discharging itself or balancing, creating a little bit of heat. Okay, all right. 630 is what I'd recommend. You could do a 631, but then they're top pins and you're gonna be okay either way with top or end pins. Again, it's like a $5 difference, I think, for the antennas, but this is supposed to have just as good a range. I don't know if I believe Spectrum on that, but either way, you could do that, and then you could have your higher quality Spectrum receiver. So if you know you're not gonna be using the GPS functionality, my suggestion is to get the plug and fly, okay? All right, so that being said, we're gonna flip this over. That's where the battery's gonna go. The reason we're flipping it over is so I can put this lid back on, which is pretty easy. We do notice that little bend mark. I'll pop that in, make sure it latches, and we need to assemble this. Now we're gonna go into which port?
Channel 1.
Channel 1 is the one that is right there, okay?
Closest to you.
And then you want the yellow to plug in so that the yellow goes forward based on what we see from the other. Now, yellow is signal, red is plus voltage, and then brown is negative voltage or return voltage, okay? And if you look inside of here, I just want to show the people. Yeah, everything looks good. There's a little chunk of plastic. You see that chunk of plastic around that?
Oh.
Zoom in. That's not a problem. I'm going to hold this. I'll go for a sec. You guys see what I'm talking about? Nope, that looks like a pin. See that? That's weird. I don't know why that's there. That's so bizarre. Is that a chunk of plastic?
I think it's just part of the receiver.
No, it's like the base of that plastic that goes around those pins. So I was just checking to make sure it would be a problem later. Don't think it's gonna be a problem, okay? So yellow goes forward, this just slides in. It's very easy. Now keep in mind, folks, if you don't need the help setting up this plane and you're just watching this video thinking, good Lord, how can it take you that long to do a video about an airplane that's so simple to set up? That's because we're helping people that don't know what they're doing. Your light's still on. Okay, and then we're just gonna drop this down in, and this falls in. Very easy assembly. And by the way, if I were opening this plane myself and unpacking it so that I could fly it for fun by myself and not teaching hopefully tens of thousands of people to learn to fly themselves, then this would take me 5 minutes too. Probably take me longer to open up my AAAs or AA's rather in this case, than it would to actually set this plane up, okay? So now it is almost fully assembled with the exception of, I'm just gonna rip my sack.
Oh, I was gonna keep that.
Put your hand around my sack.
I needed a Ziploc bag
Yeah, I know you did.
for my stuff.
There it is, right there. Okay, so now, this is gonna go in and key in. Only one direction, don't drop it down your garbage disposal. I promise it won't survive. Put it down and turn it. It's got a little arrow even.
Nice.
Then that acts as a vertical fin, which is pretty sweet. And then the two little tiny adapters. Now, I wanna talk about what that slot in the middle is. What do you think that's for?
What is that?
FPV camera mount.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. Okay, first of all, I'm just gonna give props where props are due. FMS makes a nice plane, okay? We have done lots of FMS planes in the years, over the years, and this thing is no exception. It is absolutely gorgeous, okay? Now, I gotta say, disappointments about the physical shape and layout of this model. One, I do not see anywhere where they're gonna take floats on this plane. And that kills me, okay? Because this plane is a float-equipped plane in most real-world applications. Now, does that mean that I'd be out there flying it from floats? Probably not today. Okay, so turning on the power, we're gonna check our weight, okay? For those of you that don't know, I am an industrial scale technician. I know a lot about scales, and that's why I have a cheap, crappy scale, okay? We're gonna grab this jar to make some extra height. We're gonna put it on the scale. We're gonna zero it by pressing the zero scale, zero feature there. Then we're gonna put this airplane on it and say 223.
Wow.
223. Guys, look at the battery. The battery claims to be done and fully charged. It's done charged.
Okay.
Look at that. So it's just kind of doing a little balancing. So we're gonna disconnect the balance lead, then we're gonna disconnect the JST, and we're gonna carry this over. Any bets on if it's gonna be over or under?
252.
It's pretty dang close. So guys, look. There we go. Ah, 268. Interesting. So I think with respect to the 250 gram limit, you may need to use a smaller battery if you've got. And by the way, I just want to take this second to say what an idiotic rule, first, and secondly, this is definitely not sub 250. Okay, now what other plane have we seen that's almost this size that's not sub 250?
It's like another red one.
That red one. By the way, considerably more expensive, considerably more detailed, but dang, this thing looks good for a little ready to fly. It is a lot better than most.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you get into the realm of ultra micros, you get into the price point of ultra micros. This is not an ultra micro, this is a micro. That is an ultra micro. And it is an awesome plane. It flies amazing. It's well done. It's hobby grade performance. That is coming down. That snow is. Holy crap. So we're going to be flying this in the snow here in mere moments. That's why I have shorts on. My thoughts on this plane are, what a beauty. Red and white or yellow. This is my moment to plug the 2-meter Beaver. If you need a tight, small Beaver, then this might be your Beaver. But if you want a giant Beaver that you can just sink right into any pond you want, then you should get the 2-meter. 2 meters is the size of that yellow plane. That's actually a 2.1 meter. It is huge. Just to give you an idea, this is a 1600 millimeter. This is technically, what is that one? 1400? I can't even remember. I feel bad. This one is 1600 millimeters.
Yep.
The one behind you is like 56 inches, I think, or 85 inches, the Cub.
Yep.
But this plane, that's a 1.7 meter. 2 meters is big, and it is beautiful, and it is really well done. It's one of the best FMS planes you can get. Oh, by the way, FMS makes that yellow one for E-Flight.
Yep.
Okay, the one that's competitive right in front of it is a Catalina. It's made by some other brand. It's made for Hobby King. That is a very expensive balsa wood plane in the entry. The Super Tucano is made by China Hobby Lines now. They bought the rights from Hobby King. And then, of course, the E-Flight airliner is the A320. And then the F7F is an FMS plane. It has one of the most beautiful landing gear sets of any plane we have, which is crazy. So the Beaver, going full circle, is an amazing, amazing, beautiful product. I hope it flies half as good as it looks. And if it does, it could take the market.
Because if you're new to the hobby, none of these planes are a good choice.
No, well, they might not be a good choice for a brand new beginner.
Right.
But the thing is, if you're returning to the hobby and you want something big, the Carbon Z T20
well, yeah, if you're coming back,
would be amazing.
For sure.
The Carbon, or this Cub right here, the J3 Cub would be an amazing option, but it's also like $1,000 plane.
Right.
Okay? So it's a I mean, the model's not, but by the time you buy a couple of batteries and you buy the plane, you're
transmitter.
going to be $1,000.
Yeah.
You're going to be well over $1,000 with the transmitter. But keep in mind, this is a build-up event, okay? This gets you started. Once you're hooked, you know you enjoy it, then you start moving into this. We talked about doing this, okay, earlier. This is going to be the quick and dirty overview, okay? We're going to point this at, we're just going to show you. If you don't want to look this up, pause your screen. We'll just show you each page, okay? Yeah, you can read all this crap if you want. This is the quick rundown on the features of the transmitter.
This is the page you care about.
Yep, so if you're going to pause this, you can also just go to the video description and you can download it. This is pretty useless stuff.
Yep.
And that's the end. So the reason we show you that is how you do all the setup for the GPS, okay? I don't wanna read it, it's boring. When you start this plane, you're gonna press and hold this if you want to avoid waiting for the GPS knowing you're not gonna use it.
Yes.
Okay? If you don't do it, I don't believe it does the geofencing.
I don't think so.
I believe that the elevator is going to pop up, and then when it finds it, it's gonna oscillate.
Yes.
Then it's done.
Or if you hold the button to turn it off, it will cycle and then go back to neutral to be off.
So, and you're supposed to do that with neutral sticks. When you lay it down, it's gonna find GPS and then it's gonna do its thing. It also will take longer to get a GPS lock if it's in a new environment or if it's an environment that you moved to recently. So like for instance, if you fly at the same site and you power up your plane and then you land and you swap out batteries, it's gonna find it really quick because it's gonna have some sort of a temporal memory location that's gonna store whatever it had set up before.
Yep.
It's gonna still be set up, and that is how you can understand and expect it to work, okay? Now, do I wanna make any promises about the way the system's gonna work? The answer would be a huge no.
Right.
Because that's not what we do on Brian Phillips RC. We show them failing miserably on a routine basis. But I don't expect this one to fail. Why? Because we have seen a lot from FMS over the years that have been extremely well done. We have seen a few things from FMS. I'm thinking back to a P-51 that they forced into a very tight hole and we were not able to experience very good luck with, but it was beautiful and it flew not great, okay? It is an exception to the rule that an FMS plane doesn't work well, rather than the rule with occasional exceptions being good, okay?
Right.
It's not like Dynam, okay?
And that was technically not an FMS plane.
That wasn't?
Well, it was Arrows.
Oh, that was, whatever. Arrows is FMS.
Maybe.
If you see Arrows, it's FMS.
Right. Also, before you get too far away from the
Arrows
GPS.
are the economy FMS offering. Okay?
Right.
But they're branded and marketed from FMS.
Yeah.
Okay. Years past, there used to be a North American distributor who did a really good job of marketing that brand, and we worked with them, and they did a great job, and people loved them. Then FMS took over, and people were a little bit less satisfied.
They retired. Those people retired.
Yeah, so people that do this stuff eventually quit, okay? So take advantage of it while they do it before they're too old to handle it, like us. I didn't say that out loud.
Just you. If you...
Are you saying I'm old?
Before you get too far from...
I am only a little bit older than you.
Only a little bit. Still.
Barely.
Before you get too far from GPS, while it's searching for a signal, that light on the front will flash, and then when it on the plane, and then when it finds a GPS signal, it should be solid. But it also tells you what mode you're in if you're in stabilized, optimized,
so
or
we'll demonstrate that now. Okay, so we're gonna demonstrate this quickly because we wanna save battery. Now also, I just wanted to point out something. If you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC and you think this video is long, you haven't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, not even close.
Okay. Turn on your transmitter first. Okay, it's on. I do not know what those other buttons do, why there's a difference in behavior. Okay. On you are. There is no throttle hold. That's got a fast flash. Elevators moving through the ranks. It is stuck up. It went down, up, locked.
Which means it's searching for GPS.
And it's doing things because it's changing different intensities. You'll notice that occasionally okay? So what it's doing is it's probably searching. Now, if I got sick and tired of this, I don't know if I have to immediately cancel out at this point. By the way, you'll notice the ailerons are working, the elevator is not, and the rudder is working. Will the throttle work? That's the next question. Regardless of mode, that mode is in optimized mode, and it has a solid light. That's in nothing, and that's in stabilized. But just to be clear, it appears to have not, oh, look, it found something. Look, there's a green flashing light here. This is still upward, okay? So that's green flashing. Let's change modes. Nothing changed, and nothing changed. Okay, so all the way back to this mode, we see a solid light. We see a response on the surface, except for the elevator and rudder, okay? So I'm gonna see if throttle works. All the way up, all the way down, nothing. Okay, so the throttle is cut off until it finds GPS. Now, it may not find GPS in here. except that it did, okay? So real quick, just be careful, don't get cut. This prop will spin fast enough to cut you, and we now have a continuing heartbeat. Different modes. So as you can see in this mode, everything is now working, okay? In this mode, everything is still working, and in this mode, everything is still working. Now, real quick, that's annoying. Throttle cut is not on. There is no throttle cut. This is where I would park my throttle cut, so I need to learn that that's not the throttle cut. Okay, so all the way toward me would be stabilized. I have not even tested throttles, so in order to trust a plane, I test throttle. Good power. There's a very good amount of movement before it starts into throttle. Probably 6 or 7 clicks, that's good. That's a good safety feature, even though it's not that safe, okay? Now, the other thing is I'm gonna see how the battery tucks in before I go any further. There is room to slide this battery into that pocket, I wonder. Not quite, but yes, you can. So if you need to get the center of gravity to work out, this is where you would do it. So I've stuck it in there just to kind of see how it fits. The snap has got pretty good retention, but it's not indifferent. We need to check the CG, don't we?
Yeah, we'll have to see if they tell us what it is.
If they don't, then we're gonna make the assumptions we need to make. Okay, so center of gravity is 35 millimeters back from the leading edge. So as you can see, in order to check where the center of gravity is, you have to be able to measure 35 millimeters. Now, if you don't know what 35 millimeters is in inches, I will measure right now with a pair of calipers. So I'm gonna zero this, and then I'm gonna go out to 35 millimeters. So 35 millimeters, good Lord. 35? Are you serious? That doesn't seem right. Okay, so close enough. I'm gonna switch to inches. So about 1.378, okay? So we'll go back 35 and we're gonna make a bump.
Do you mark on the top or the bottom?
I'm just gonna mark it there so I can see it.
Okay.
I'm gonna mark it there so I can see it, okay? Now, I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna mark it underneath. So we're at 35 millimeters and I'm gonna put it right in the middle there. Yeah, so it's right in the middle of that section, okay? So I gotta get that prop. Just be careful, don't get cut by the props, kids, okay? I'm gonna darken the hole by just hitting it with a marker and hitting it with a marker. Now, why do I do that? Because I wanna be able to reach under there with my middle fingers, my longest fingers. Some people have a little bit longer index or ring fingers, depends on how you were made. Right there, it's tail heavy, okay? So it's falling back off my fingers at that point and that point, okay? So because it's falling back off of my fingers, I need to bring the battery forward or add weight to the nose of the plane. So obviously that's not ideal. I wanna be able to make sure that this thing holds in here. So is there a way to stick this in without causing problems for myself? I don't know yet, because I don't know if I trust that that thing's gonna stay in there. Okay, so let's put that in and see if it will stay, okay? I can hear the stabilizer working. Okay, so it's in there. Now I can check. Still tail heavy. So that's not usually a good sign, guys. So that means that we need to bring this, and if they're saying to do it, I'm gonna go ahead and do it for now. I'm gonna turn this diagonal and stuff it into the front a little bit. Don't stick it all the way into where you're hitting the backside of your motor, okay? Because you do not want to motorboat your Beaver. Well, I mean, probably not for the sake of CG. That's a little bit better, actually. Okay. Is it perfect? No, but it's good enough.
Better.
Okay?
Okay.
So 35 millimeters is on page 6, okay? So now the other thing is we need to check the control surface direction of travel. You're probably thinking to yourself, but Brian, this is a ready to fly. Like, why are you checking things that you didn't set up? That's because it's a good practice for anybody who is going to be flying RC planes. If you can't check a center of gravity, then you need to maybe consider a sport that's gonna be less likely to hit you in the face hole. Because airplanes can do that. Okay, safety first. All right, so when you wanna check the direction of travel, first of all, I'm gonna hold this on the table here, and I'm just gonna look at that. I want it to resist when I move. Resisting, 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 resisting. Can you tell? Go up higher so they can see. Resisting, resisting. Actually, I'll hold it this time. So resist, resist, resist. Now, ailerons, up goes up, down goes down, up goes up, down goes down. It's subtle, but you can definitely see it. I'll hold the plane. Now be careful because of the prop. I'm gonna hold it tight against my hand in case it tries to spin. Up is up, down is down. You can see, but you gotta kind of look right there, okay? There's down, there's up. There's down, there's up. Yeah, I'm getting a little dizzy. Now elevator, same thing. Up, now down. Now up, now down, okay? So all we're doing is we're seeing if the direction of correction is opposite of the movement. So if I'm flying along and the wind goes, then I want that to resist and I want that to resist, okay? Or if I'm flying along and the wind goes, or there's a huge wind shear or wind shear, I want the elevator to correct. So let's simulate that by pitching up quickly. That's gonna go up. Going down quickly, it's gonna go down. Same thing, yaw, it's gonna resist. Yaw, it's gonna resist. You can go extreme so that you can see, and if you can't see, use your hand to feel. Feel your beaver, okay? Just put your hand right on it. Feel if your beaver is doing what you expect, okay? All right, so there it is. Now, the rudder, let's check the direction of travel. You'll notice I'm all the way toward my belly. Yaw left, yaw right, perfect. Roll left, roll right. You'll notice one other thing. I haven't adjusted one surface. Good job, FMS. And also, it's very level. This little chunk of foam was stuck to the side of my battery wire, okay? Elevator down, elevator up. That's a pretty good amount of deflection. That should give us good pitch authority. It might be too much, but that's okay. Okay. If a plane is very pitch sensitive, it's likely tail heavy. If it's pitch insensitive, then you're likely flying more overstable, and that's because it's too nose heavy. If you're light on elevator control, meaning you can't get it to climb and you can't get it to sink and push down, then that means you could push your battery back a little bit and improve the touchiness on the pitch axis. Now your roll axis is not going to largely be impacted, and your yaw axis is only going to be impacted by the amount of deflection on your rudder, okay? So that's why we mostly concern ourselves with pitch axis, unless you're dealing with one of those weird planes that was made 3 times, okay? So most of the time, this is all you got to worry about. Okay, so if you've done those surfaces, now we want to check the other modes. So I'm going to go to the middle mode, nothing, okay? But we can just make sure the controls work, and they do. Then I'm going to go to optimized mode, which is GPS, okay? And you're going to notice it's auto leveling. Look at those surfaces. It's trying to find the quickest route to level. So I'm just going to bring it around until it's there. And look at the elevator. It's going to try to climb out of your dive. And let's say you're climbing. It's going to try to level out. And if you're on the side axis, you'll notice that you're only going to have stabilization. It's not going to carry a knife edge for you. It's going to level it. Okay? So as per usual, auto leveling is on 2 axes, the pitch and roll, okay? But the yaw axis, the 3rd axis of primary control surface on an airplane, is generally only used for stabilization. But stabilization works in a 3-dimensional environment, whereas auto leveling is like just make it level and be there. Okay? Pretty cool, because some planes are bank, and yank, and some planes are not. This is a 5-channel plane. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 4-channel. 5-channel, I guess, would get you into flaps. So channel 1, throttle, not in any particular order, throttle, ailerons, elevator, rudder, okay? So that's a 4-channel plane. A 3-channel plane would just give you usually a rudder and an elevator as well as throttle. And then the ailerons wouldn't exist. It'd just be like a fixed wing up here, okay? All right, so hopefully we've answered all your questions about the setup. Obviously, throttle goes up. It's got kind of a soft start, which is weird for an airplane. It's more consistent with what we'd see from a helicopter. It's a little bit strange. Now, this button acts as a panic button, but it's also kind of like a return to home button. So since we're in GPS, I'm not sure how this is going to work. This is return to home. I'm not sure how return to home is going to work if I'm inside, obviously. I don't want it to overwhelm my throttle condition because I don't know how that's going to work either. So if I test this, I need to be prepared to deal with it giving throttle. I don't think it's going to give throttle, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upset the aircraft and press this panic button. I don't know. It looks like it was just trying to fight it back to normal neutral flight mode.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to the middle mode and I'm gonna see what happens when I press panic. Oh, I was in middle mode. There's middle mode. It's still trying to find auto level in the middle. Why?
Does panic work in any mode? Yes.
Look, it's trying to find auto level. So it's still trying to do the GPS. Now I go back to stabilized and it's still stabilized, but it's still trying to find auto leveling. Okay, so that's not good. Maybe because it's trying to return to home.
Maybe.
So cancel with any input.
Okay.
Nope, it's still auto leveling.
No, now you're in the back mode.
There we go. Now it's back.
Okay.
Okay, so do you guys see what just happened there? We learned something together. If you panic your way out, say you have nothing turned on. If you panic, it's gonna auto level this. Okay?
Okay.
And it's gonna keep auto leveling, okay? Until such a time as you take over. And then it
stops. Okay.
You guys understand what I just said there? I'm gonna go over this one more time. Throttle 6 down for safety. If I am upset and I panic, it's gonna find level, and I don't know if it's gonna return home or it's just gonna fly level, but it's at least gonna fly level, okay? Until such a time as you say, nope, I'm good. And then it's gonna stop, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a cool setup, okay? I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. Now, whether or not it works out there in the real world is a totally different scenario than if it works here in our test. Stabilized mode, do the same test. I'm upset, but it's not trying to auto level. Look at the ailerons.
Yep.
I'm gonna panic. Ah! Level, worked.
Now is it still
auto leveling.
Still auto leveling.
Still auto leveling until such a time as I'm like, nope, I got control. And then it goes back out of it.
Okay.
So you could actually, whilst it's still trying to correct your condition, you can take over. So if you're a kid and you're like, how come it crashed? I hit panic, and you're holding the stick like this, it may not work, but let's see what happens. Hun, this one's gonna be a little tough for me to...
Me to hold the plane, or do you want me to...
Nope, I'm holding the stick,
panic?
press panic. No, hold on. Let's say that you're in this attitude and you're panicking and you're holding the stick. It's gonna try to find, nope, it let me keep controlling it. Hey, okay. I just learned something that you need to learn for you. That's why you watch Brian Phillips RC. If your ailerons and elevator are in some extremity like this and you panic, you're in control of crashing.
Right, there is no panicking.
So if you panic, this is how you panic. That's how you panic. You don't have to take your hands off of it, but I'm just saying, keep your thumbs off, keep your pincer grips off, and just panic, okay? Now, let's say I want to return to home. I think to return to home, regardless of mode, you have to press and hold this for a few seconds, don't you?
We might have to actually check what we read. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5. Is there anything going on?
No.
No light
solid.
condition? Okay, I let go. It looks like it's just gonna basically do whatever it's doing, okay? So now, it's back into my control. I like the middle mode because you can test it all.
Right.
And if you guys are like, goodness gracious, I'm so lost, you won't be lost when you start connecting the dots in real world, okay? Brian Phillips RC is here to serve the RC community, doing this type of video where we showcase the features that China says they gave us. Sometimes they don't deliver in reality the way that they deliver in a test circumstance like this, okay? Now, if you want to read the entire manual and enjoy it all the way start to finish, then you can follow the links like you're going to buy it, and you should be able to get access to this manual or the manual for the GPS functionality, okay? So this is very helpful information, page 1, 2, and 3. Goodness gracious, I thought that was in order where I left it, okay?
No, because you flipped through it.
So these are the most important pages. We already showed those entirety, and we showed where the center of gravity is. Because this is not a plug and fly in our environment, I just want to remind you that you can buy this as a ready to fly or plug and fly. It's going to make a minor difference in your outcome. And then when you're done and you need to charge the batteries, you pull off the bottom, you pull the battery out, and I'm going to show you this process. Then you disconnect the battery, you lay this down and it's done. Then you turn off your transmitter, okay? Now, admittedly, I dropped this off the counter, but like, I am not a fan of the way those buttons feel. I don't even know if they changed condition at all.
But it's still on.
Is it because like somehow, do I need to press this for power? Now it's off. Okay, so I dropped it. So I'm hoping that was a fluke. Now let's come over and charge the battery one more time. So you're gonna take this over to your charger. In your case, you can use your B3 where you just quite literally plug that in, you're ready to rock and roll. Or you come over here and you land it on your balance lead or your discharge lead, and then you put your balance lead in, you press play, and you hit start, okay? So that's gonna talk off the battery, and then we're gonna go fly this thing right now in this snowstorm because that's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. So hopefully you're finding this video helpful. If you did even remotely find this video helpful, we're gonna ask for your help. Follow the links in the video description below if you decide you'd like to invest and try this for yourself. Because here on Brian Phillips RC, this isn't a one-time thing for us. We've done this hundreds of times, and that is including many plug and fly models like the F7F back here, all the way down to the most simple and basic helicopters, many of which you've seen in recent vintage because they're really popular right now, okay? We love this hobby. I love flying airplanes. I love aviation. I've loved it since I was a kid. It's one of my passions in life. And so if you guys see that through our videos and through the effort that we do, the best way you can support us financially is by buying whatever it is that we happen to be reviewing at this time, whether it's a Super Tucano from a competitive brand or a Catalina from another competitive brand or an E-Flight Airbus A320. We don't really care which one you get, so long as it's the right step for you right now. And so you can follow the links in the video description below, or you can head over to brianphillipsrc.com, or if you don't like writing that whole thing out and pressing enter, you can just type BP, Brian Phillips, RC.me and press enter. That'll take you to our website. And then you can also click on the supplies and find things like these little adapters we're using, or you can sort by type, whether it's FMS or general aviation or float planes, that sort of thing. This might make it into the float planes category, even though it doesn't have floats. I'm not sure how we'll handle that, but the truth is it should be pretty easy to compare this Beaver to a much larger Beaver. And we've done a few Beavers over the years. Some are better than others, but most Beavers fly pretty good because it is a beautiful and well-designed, aerodynamic, beautiful, beautiful plane. By the way, in real life, you didn't know this is a pretty big plane, okay? So you can get many passengers inside of a Beaver, and the 2 meter is very good. It is a great plane. I think the only thing on that plane we weren't crazy about was the landing gear. And yes, you can do floats on that one. So very, very cool function. Can't wait to see if the GPS works in the snow. Can't wait to show it in the snow. Looks like the snow is probably not going to be as big a factor as the light wind. But here on Brian Phillips RC, we do fly in all conditions. But we try to give the planes at least a fair shake. We just happen to be up against the wire on this and one other offering. Okay, so if you have questions or you want to support us in other ways, we have Patreon for monthly support. Thanks for being monthly supporters, or YouTube members. Either way, monthly support comes from those, or one-time donations from YouTube Super Thanks and PayPal. All of which are always much appreciated. It warms our hearts when we see that we have made a big enough impact in your life that you wanted to send us money. But we really firmly believe the best way to support us, if you're going to support us financially, is to buy the products that we work with, because then that helps us to foster strong relationships with the companies that are making a living of building airplanes. Remember, there's a million ways to make money in this world. And if you're stupid enough to make foam into airplanes and sell it from China, then we want to encourage you to do more of it, because we do love airplanes. And we don't care if you're in China or Malaysia or India or Minnesota or Florida or Tennessee or Iowa. I don't care where you make this beautiful stuff, as long as it's well made and you don't lie to us, and you give us the things we want. We're gonna help show our audience how amazing or terrible it is right here on Brian Phillips RC. And at the end of the day, I love this stuff and I demand excellence, but we also do it within the context of pricing and application, okay? This is not gonna be as good as a 2-meter plane. It never will be. I don't care how good it is. It's not gonna be as good as a 2-meter plane, okay? Size matters in planes, and we're gonna try to do that within the sphere of influence that we have to help you guys make good decisions, okay? So if you guys are watching this around Christmas time, we have an unlit Christmas tree for your pleasure, and we'll have a Christmas tree up there till about July of 2026, right? Maybe May. Maybe May.
I'll take it down before we go to Jonal.
Before we go to Jonal?
Yeah.
And guys, if you haven't ever met us, we do go to Jonal. If you don't know what Jonal is, it's awesome. It's huge. Check it out. We have videos about it. By the way, if you're looking for something else, check out Brian Phillips RC, or you can search playlists right here on YouTube.
Yes.
But searching for playlists
tricky.
on YouTube can be a little bit tricky, so you can also use the good old Google eyes and search for us there, because we are evidently
Everywhere.
all right? So, and if you're seeing us on Facebook for the first time, check out YouTube. That's where we have most of our stuff. If we're on TikTok right now and you're saying, hey, I want to find more about this product, or you're seeing a short, which we have thousands of now, or hundreds, then you should be able to follow and find the long format corresponding video.
Yep.
So remember, there's highlights and lowlights of every video we make, just like there's highlights and lowlights of life. If RC is a highlight of your life, you're in the right place here on Brian Phillips RC. We enjoy and appreciate it just like you do, and we're not here just for a quick buck. Believe me, we could find many, many other ways to make money a lot easier than doing this. I really, truly am passionate about this. That's why I have 2 freaking concrete runways. I have 14,000 square foot of concrete that I need to finish pouring for that project out there. We've already got, what, 27 loads of concrete so far on that project?
Yeah, something like that.
And this is all to facilitate my true passion, okay? But also to facilitate the maintenance of my true passion, which would be the farm that surrounds our aviation aerodrome, okay? So at the end of the day, an aviation lifestyle is very all-inclusive. It's not just a 5-minute project. And that's why it's hard to get people interested, because to be good at this takes a commitment that is a lot more than flying an RC simulator, which you can also do and enjoy it and have fun. But if all you want is a 5-minute project, this is not the hobby for you. That's part of the reason why entry-level planes are not a quick and easy project. So when I hear people, hey, I'm getting this for my 4-year-old, you're probably crazy. Your 4-year-old, unless he's a freak of nature, which there are a few of them, by the way, some of them are the best pilots in the world, is not gonna be able to fly this plane, okay? If you have a 14-year-old, they probably can handle it. If they play video games, if you have a 10-year-old, they can probably handle it. If you're willing to teach them, they can probably handle it. So get people into the hobby, keep them in the hobby. That's what we need to do. And we try to do it every day here on Brian Phillips RC. All right, FMS, so far looks pretty good. Hope it doesn't suck. We'll be get outside in the giant snowstorm. But thanks for working with Brian Phillips RC. And guys, thanks for being here with us for many years. We've done this for about 10 years. It's almost Christmas, so Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, all those different celebrations you got coming up. As you're thinking about Christmas gifts, we'll try to give you lots of good options. But at the end of the day, we want to tell you the truth, because then you can make your own mind up. We're not just trying to sell these things for FMS or E-Flight or whoever it is we're working with. We really don't care which one you get. We just want you to get the right one. And if you're brand new to the hobby, every manufacturer says every plane is a beginner plane because they figure they'll sell more. We disagree. We're to tell you what you need to know. All right, questions, comments, leave them down below. We'll do our best to help you out. But full disclosure, we do not make 200% comments like we used to, because it's impossible. And not because we don't care or a lack of trying. We have been spread a little bit thin with this tiny project here, which, by the way, is going to end up costing a lot more than our house. Okay, so just remember, I love this hobby. My wife is very supportive. She's crazy. And so I'm lucky I picked a good camera crew. All right, so thanks, camera crew. And if you guys want to say a special thanks, leave those in the comments below. We do hear them all the time. And by the way, when you see us at Jonal, she's with us. So it's super fun. You get to meet me and the camera crew, and people are always saying hi. So it's really fun, usually yelling as they drive by.
Yes.
So it's fun.
Mostly that.
And if you're one of the yellers, thanks for being here. It's always, actually, it's very fun. So
it is.
we
It's
love
super
it.
fun.
It's really neat. And we get to meet some of our competitors from the YouTube sphere, and it's really fun. So guys, if you don't know how to fly, you're in the right place. Brian Phillips, RC. Stay tuned. So much more right around the corner. Thanks for watching.